Howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 274. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and surf dude hair on point co-host, The Riz. How you doing, brother?
Oh, what's up?
You, sir, have got the full... I know you were a beach volleyball player, but you truly look the part now. You are like at a central casting.
Does it make it look a little bit more realistic that I actually used to do that for a long time?
For sure, dude. For sure. All right. Got a great show for you today. A couple of cats on COVID. We'll talk about that. Training camp schedule. What's going on? You know, is it started or not? What are they doing? What's happening? We got all the down low on that for you. We're going to talk about the NFL Top 100 results. There's been a lot of conversation about that. And we're going to cover Lions free agency. Why aren't they spending my money? Got that, a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Riz, you ready to go, brother man?
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. A couple of quick announcements first. Check us out. Help us out on the Patreon. Special thanks to Dylan from...
Just quietly, because my wife's on a conference call right above me.
Okay. Guam. All right. Yes, Dylan from Guam. Also, our very first donor, Mathis, Brian B. from I Prevail. All those guys are part of our Slack chat. You get access to that by donating at least a minimum of $1 a month at patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Help fund, help support everything we do. Help us with all our upgrades, the travel, our coverage at Senior Bowl, setting up our parties, all the other stuff. These are the guys that support and help us the most, and we appreciate that. We also they get insider info, they get other access, and besides just the Slack. But a good group of folks join and have them access to the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet at patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. All right, give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast, Instagram, Detroit Lions Podcast, and on the Twitter box at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast. It's the very best place to see Riz.
With no pause.
You get to see him turn from Case to Riz in the video just now. All right, subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. YouTube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get yourself in there. We'll have a lot of fun with that. Also, rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you find us, whatever aggregator you're at. Please give us those 5 stars. We really love them there. Those are forever. And then if you want to give criticism or help us make the show better, we're so open to that. We love that. Hit us up in the subreddit at DetroitLions.reddit.com. And top of the subreddit, there's always a post of their latest episode, and we're more than willing to engage and talk about how the show can be made better for you. All right. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line, 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. Leave a message, you get a chance to hear yourself on the show.
Tighten your chin straps, kids. It's time to review this week in Reddit.
All right, it's time to talk about the fun and exciting things going down this week in Reddit. And actually, Riz, for the first week of training camp, there's a whole lot going on. I mean, it opened, right? It's officially open, but there's a lot going on with nothing going on, and no one knows what the heck's going on. But that's why we're here, right?
Pretty accurate summation of what's going on or not going on in Allen Park these days. You know, it's been coming up on my Facebook timeline every day. It's like, oh, I checked in at the Lions training facility this year and that year and that year, and I'm not there this year.
Yeah, it is problematic. It's frustrating, but we've got it. We've got your coverage. We'll let you know what's going on right now, what's happening. There's a lot happening kind of behind the scenes, and we'll let you know.
There really is a lot going on. There's just nothing on field related at this point yet.
Right.
Coming soon. But why don't you fill the people in on what exactly is going on like this week as the Lions players arrive in Allen Park?
Well, I could probably do that. First, let's talk about the COVID cats. There's a couple of guys, and this doesn't necessarily mean they have COVID. This is
part of what's going on is that these guys are getting tested as they arrive. They're getting screened.
Yep.
Basically, they're showing up going into a secured tent with people in, it looked like hazmat suits from the photo that I saw.
Yes.
And they're getting tested for COVID. And a few of the Lions have tested. Well, they are on the COVID reserve list. There are 5 Lions on it. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have tested positive. One player did come out and say he did test positive, but they are on a reserve list for as long as until they can produce. They have to test negative twice in 72 hours, so we'll be allowed back into participating.
Yes. So we'll dive into that a little bit. I just want to hit really quick the COVID cats, the guys who are on COVID reserve, on the reserve list. It doesn't mean that they have COVID. It just means that they were in proximity with someone who did, or kind of a contact tracing situation. So they're kind of watching them. We have Kenny.
And the Lions are not allowed to comment on if a player has it or not. The players can come out on their own and do it. And one of them, Aaron Sippos, did. He said, "Yes, I tested positive for it." He's one of the guys competing for the punter job.
Right, and we've seen things like this, completely unrelated to football, hurt guys' chances, and that really stinks. But we got Kenny Galladay on the list. We got Amani Arawarriye, Jalen Elliott, Aaron Sipas, and TJ Hawkinson. Just see me slide right through that.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. That was good.
Those guys are all on the reserve list. We're watching them. We'll see what happens. As Riz said, there's a protocol for them to come back, and I think there's a little bit of self-selection in there as well when they want to start that protocol, correct?
Yes, it is. That's on their own time. If they're feeling symptomatic, or if they know that okay, maybe I've been with this person for X amount of time, I can't pass the screening because of that, or I'm living with somebody with COVID or something like that, they can't. And it's on their own timetable. I will say this: there has already been somebody who was on the reserve list, I believe it was for the Bears, who came out of it already.
Wow!
So it could be that quick.
It's interesting.
It's really something that could last for a long time.
Because I look at this as an opportunity for guys that are uncomfortable with the situation, but don't yet want to opt out officially. This kind of gives them that kind of in between, that purgatory space to sit and watch as things develop, without having to opt out altogether. We do have one player who opted out, John Atkins. So he's out for the season. He'll take advantage of all the rights and obligations as part of that.
Right. So his contract tolls. He gets paid. I think he was in the higher risk group, so he gets $350,000 to not play. That is less than the league minimum, which he would have made had he not opted out. If he would have made the team, he was questionable to make the team. He did play some last year. Actually, played pretty well in the last game I watched, which was the Washington game. So it's not like this guy was like, "Oh, I'm going to take this so I get money in it," because I wasn't going to make the team. That's not necessarily the case. He was a bubble guy. He was fighting for his life, but football life, I should say. But he's elected to take it out, and
this gives an option to work out and hopefully be better next year. I mean, for a bubble guy, it gives you it's all about options right here. And as a player, you want to take what's going to give you the best opportunity on a go forward, right? In the long term.
Absolutely. You got to be looking out for yourself on this. And a lot of the guys who have opted out on in other situations, they have young kids at home. They have people living in their house that are immunocompromised. They themselves are immunocompromised. That we don't know anything about with Atkins. He hasn't come out and said anything publicly yet. But, there should be no grief given to any player that opts out.
No,
anywhere.
No. Treat them with respect they deserve.
If they're uncomfortable playing, you don't want them on the field because they're not going to be. They're always going to be worried. Oh my God, I'm in this pile. What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's going to breathe. I mean,
they're not going to be thinking football first, right? And that's not what you want on the field anyway. All right, let's talk a little bit about the precautions that the team's taking on this, because I think it's an important feature of what's going on and how the Lions are approaching it. I like what they've done. Right? Again, it's about options. It's about giving them. Oh God, Logan. Atkins is out. Looks like Penasini's going to slide right in. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Slide in right to the top.
All right. Let's talk about some of the precautions. And there's some interesting strategic ones that Bob Quinn has decided to go with. And I think in the broader piece, let's take a look at this and we'll see what we got. First, the Lions have chosen. You have a choice to have a 90-man squad or an 80-man squad until the 17th when you have to cut down. And that's when padded practices begin. The Lions have chosen to keep a 90-man squad. And what does that mean? Why wouldn't you keep 90 instead of 80? Well, with an 80-person squad, you have to break in, or you get to stay in a single group and all work out together. With a 90-person squad, you have to be into 2 working groups. And the way they break down is, one is the rookies and first-year players, and then it's up to the team to designate what they want to do with their quarterbacks and injured players. It's the club's discretion at that point as to where they go. But these two working groups cannot intermingle. So think about, where do you want to put your quarterback? Do you want to put your quarterback with your rookies and and first year players, or do you want your quarterback with the vets, working with the vets, the folks you have? So that's an interesting one. That's an interesting decision that they'll have to make, knowing that your quarterback can't switch between the two groups, right? That's a
Right.
commitment there, and that's one of the detriments to having a 90-person team. The Lions then are breaking those into even smaller groups. And the reason they're doing that is to help with social distancing in the weight room, the dining room, the locker room, and on the practice field. So it's absolutely, I just think that just when I see this, and I think the Lions were like one of the first 8 to have their plan approved by the NFL of all the teams that submitted. It seems like they're really approaching this thoughtfully and intelligently. I don't have a whole lot to compare it against because I haven't read a bunch of other teams' plans, but my impression of what I'm seeing here is a very measured and smart approach, not too conservative, leaving as many options as possible. I think for me, this is so far, and we'll get through some more of this, but this is a really, really good approach.
They have started down the path better than some other teams have. They, like you said, they were one of the first to get their. They have an acronym for it, and I can't think of what it is, but they were one of the first 4 actually to get their plan approved by both the NFLPA and the NFL. So the team had to submit these. Both sides had to sign off on it, and they did fairly quickly. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
There are pictures out there. They actually Bob Quinn gave a little video tour of the locker room and the modifications that they've made to it. And there's a lot of good pieces out there, both on Lions Wire and other places where you can see.
Particularly Lions Wire, though.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But there's a lot of people doing really good work behind the scenes on that.
But particularly Lions Wire.
Oh yeah. They've set up. The locker room looks a little different. It looks a lot different, actually.
Yeah.
There are a lot of more hazards to run into as you're walking around that aren't people. There are plexiglass walls where they didn't used to be. Every other locker is X'd off, so you can't use it to keep the social distancing in place. They have changed one of the old meeting rooms into I think it's the offensive linemen are meeting in there, and it's a room that normally holds, I think, 134 people, and it's going to be holding 20. And that's just because of the social distancing, and Michigan has more restrictive allowances for number of people in an indoor gathering than other places do. That meets some restrictions set down by our governors. So they're playing ball as best as they can, so they can play ball, basically.
Yep. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Really like it. Like the options. Like the way they approach it. Also, they've got a situation where, in order to enter the building the first time, to even just get started, this has nothing to do with your opt-outs and getting or your being on the reserve list, the COVID Cat reserve list, and coming back. This is strictly just to start the season.
COVID Cat. I like that. COVID
Cat. You must pass 3 COVID tests to enter the building. The second test was yesterday, which was Wednesday, just as we record this.
Right. They showed up on Tuesday and took it. They showed up on Wednesday and took it. So this is all the players. They have not been inside yet. They are still awaiting on their test on it, and they'll get the third one on Friday.
Yep. The third test gets them in. And yeah, we should really trademark the COVID Cats. From now on, it's COVID Cats TM. So yeah, no, they'll go through all that, and that's obviously a very conservative approach, but it's certainly going to ensure that they've done their diligence to make sure everybody's healthy coming in. They're putting plexiglass between the lockers, as you said, locker room changes. So not only are they Xing off the lockers, but they're then putting plexiglass, and I think that's the way they can say, because look, with the size of lockers, you're going to have to X off 3 of them between lockers in order to have 6-foot social distancing, right? And you just don't have enough lockers. There's not enough space in that room to be able to do that. So to be able to put the plexiglass in there like this gives them the opportunity then to kind of shrink it down a little bit closer and still remain safe.
They're doing what they can. They're being adaptive.
Yep.
And by the way, the entry part, that is a league-wide thing. That is not just a Detroit thing. All teams are going through that. You have to have 3 negative tests over a 4-day period in order to be allowed to get into your team's facility.
Do you think they flew in?
That is for coaches. That's for players. That's for people that are working in the cafeteria. All of that. Those people all have to go through that. It's not just players.
And I don't think I've seen anyone talking about this, but because they're not having the games, and they have the refs kind of with some availability. Those are the guys in the hazmat suits. They're flying around and doing a little refereeing at the entry. No, I'm just joking. So, all right, so I would put them to work doing something else, but I'm a jerk, so whatever. So the way it looks so far, we're looking at a preseason champion Detroit Lions again, which is good, bad, or otherwise, whatever. But Saturday,
well, they're not going to lose a preseason game.
That's right. They will have a perfect record. Saturday and Sunday, they report for physicals and equipment distribution. Now, the equipment distribution is just part of logistics, something that happens. I would keep an eye out for the physicals, the results in the physicals. This is where you're going to get your first indication of those that stayed in shape over the off season and the COVID shutdown, and those that kind of chose the what was his name? Eddie Lacy, the lunchbox Lacy route, right? Decided to go get some China food and 150 pounds extra.
The China! I forgot about the China food. Oh, that was great.
Lunchbox Lacy.
Yeah. So with the Lions, a lot of the guys have posted workouts themselves. Hawkinson looks fantastic. He posted a video about a week ago.
He is buff, dude.
He has rocked up, and he's moving great on that injured ankle. So I'm very confident about it.
And rocked is a good word, because the Rock had nothing on how he's looking right now. He's put on what, 20 pounds of muscle, it looks like? I mean, just it does look like that. He's certainly converted some of his weight. And if you go back and watch him as a rookie, he did get smaller as the season progressed in his upper body. Yep.
That ain't going to happen now.
No.
He's looking toned, man.
I'm going to tell you, this is the big testament. This is probably one of the most obvious ones, but I've seen it with a lot of different guys. This is one of the biggest testaments to the strength and conditioning programs of the NFL. What you see, take a picture from last year of Hawkinson in the preseason working out, because he showed himself working out, and compare it to this year's picture, and you'll say, holy crap, it's a whole different man. The
transformation is crazy for a guy who was a finely tuned athlete to begin with.
Yeah,
it really is remarkable.
Yeah.
So I have no worries about him. Danny Amendola has posted himself shirtless numerous times. He still looks really, really good for a guy who's getting up there in age.
Ah, man,
there's a lot of guys that I'm not too worried about.
Filth.
But there are some, like last year. Look what happened with snacks, man. He showed up and he had a few too many snacks.
Oh, God. Yeah, it showed all season. Yeah. All right, so they'll be doing that. And then Monday, strength and conditioning workouts begin, and they'll be able to do walkthroughs with both groups, not together.
Right. On separate fields. I haven't heard how they're doing that yet. If they're going to be there at separate times, or if they're just going to be isolated. If you've been to Allen Park, they have 3 fields. Yeah, 3 fields, plus the hill training area. Oh, they have 4. They do have 4.
It's all quadrants, right? Yeah.
Yep, that's right. And they always like to put the important people on the farthest one away so we can't watch them.
Exactly.
That's Patricia at work. Although, to be fair, Caldwell and Schwartz both did that as well when they had less resources to move around with too. Yeah. Good times at training camp, man. Getting out the binoculars.
Yeah, and then being yelled at, you're taking pictures with them.
Like even in the media tower, we're up because we're actually further away than the fans are when we're up in the tower.
Yep.
When they're on the far field, we need the binoculars, otherwise we can't see them.
Yeah, when I had the credential, I was like, I'm not sitting there. I'm going over in the fan zone because I could see what's going on better. So
the only cool thing is that Matt Prater is drilling ESPN reporters with shagged field goals, which is.
Yeah, make sure you finish that sentence, because where you paused, I don't think anybody likes that.
No, he's not.
He's not drilling reporters. No. He's doing so with shit field goals.
Let me have another drink of beer.
There you go. Early afternoon start, right? Okay, so what walkthroughs happen. It'll be interesting to see if they can have it on the field like that, because you've got the quadrants. I mean, if you've got 2 groups working out, and they can at the same time, and they can see each other's workouts. I mean, you could kind of coordinate those workouts, both fields doing the same thing at the same time without intermingling.
You got to make sure that like your ball people that are with like the one group stay with that group. Like if an errant pass gets over, Chase Daniel winds up throwing a ball that goes far into the other field. A ball guy from that field has to go get it. The support staff also can't intermingle.
But here's the thing. I'm thinking of it in a Belichickian way, right? Which I think is its own country. But if just for example, right? If you could run them side by side on 2 fields, run the same drill, and Belichick's standing between the 2 fields, and he's yelling at one field, but the other field is hearing the exact same coaching, right? those two teams are effectively working together, but in parallel. I think you can cut corners on this unless they have some kind of, you have to do this at different physical times or locations,
Yeah,
right? I don't know what the fine
answer to that.
details are, but I can see that being, the whole game, the game thing. That's part of football, and so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. All right.
I'm fascinated by how that's going to play. And we still in the media do not know how much access we're going to get. We cannot be there physically until the padded practices start, which I believe is what, the 17th, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks
Yes.
from yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 days after my birthday.
We still haven't heard. The Lions don't know. The league doesn't really know.
Yep.
That again, that's not just a Lions thing. That's an every team thing. They don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah, it is. This is really it's just so interesting. Like, I'm obviously disappointed because we can't have our party, we can't do our training camp stuff and all the stuff that's normal. But it is very interesting watching this unfold and seeing how the NFL is handling it and what they're doing. It especially compared to some of the other leagues out there, it's something. No, there's a question in the chat. No, there's no bubble for like the NBA. This is bubble free. It's just too hard to get that many people that are associated with an NFL team.
So many people
bubbled up.
When the football team travels, it's 5 buses of people that go to the airport. That's significantly, and that's not even all players. That's just coaches and training staff and all the support staff. The guy who holds Patricia's headset when he's not wearing it. All of those people are part of this, and all those people go home. They do. That's one of the reasons why you're going to see positive tests. That's one of the reasons why they are being so diligent with it, is because so many people are involved in producing a football game and producing even a football practice.
Yep.
It's impractical to ask all of those people to be in a bubble.
But I
the
think
the NBA is a little bit different.
The idea,
you can get by with 30 people per team.
The idea of having 2 workout groups, though, is you've got like sub bubbles that you've built within your space. Right. So, and then you've got a bubble of the media where you keep them separate and not in direct contact, right? And you can treat each bubble as its own and then manage where they are at specific times to keep them from cross-pollinating and cross-infecting.
And one of the things, the Lions have sensors that go off when you are within 6 feet of people that are not supposed to be near 6 feet of you. I forget what it's called. It's a technology thing. It's sort of like the rings that they had for the NBA bubble, if you followed that.
Yeah.
They have this in Allen Park. So like if let's say Marvin Jones, he's one of the top priority guys. If a assistant trainer who is only level 1 gets near him, a buzzer goes off, or an alarm goes off, like, hey, get away from Marvin. Stop. Back away.
This is
so
why you
have that. That's pretty cool.
This kind of stuff and the math on this is why you pay attention to set theory in math, kids, and stay in school. All right. Last piece about this, 8/14, the 14th of August, the day before my birthday. So make sure you're buying gifts now. They have the first of 2 non-padded practices. So between the 14th and the 17th, they'll be able to have 2 non-padded practices. And on the 17th, they have to cut down to, it's 80 or 80 on the 17th of August. And they can then combine to a single group for the padded practices. This is interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of thought that went into this, a lot of planning, and then at the individual club level, a lot of further planning, and it's gone into it. I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. You can tell they actually really put real thought into this and tackled this as a true issue, not something where they're just paying lip service. So hopefully this all pays off. What we don't want to find is Allen Park, facility being a hot spot and wind up like the Marlins, right?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much the worst case scenario
because they're done. They're not going to play those games, right? Those games are just not going to happen. They're because
they physically can't.
Right. and I'm talking about makeup, right? Even if you get them all, everyone back to healthy,
time to do it.
Right. You just can't.
The way their contracts and situations work, they physically will not be able to make those up unless you're going to play 7-inning doubleheaders, which is something that's been floated, but that's just stupid.
Wow, yeah, that is. All right, so that's everything going on right there with training camp. Really quick, got to talk about something really quick, really special going on. CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. I got to tell you guys right now. Today we're doing this, like I say, on Thursday. You have Thursday and Friday, end of July sale. They've got a sale going on, up to 80% off on their stuff for the last couple days. CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Use the code END. July, END July, and you'll get 80% off on some stuff. I think it's 50% off on the rest. They've got a great deal, free shipping, the whole thing. I've like I've said, I've become a real fan. It's helped my mother-in-law, me, my wife with various ailments of age in my mother-in-law's case, wear in my case, and just being so gorgeous that it hurts in my wife's case. Hope you're listening, hon. I deserve credit for that. cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Check it out. Use the code ENDJULY, and you will get yourself up to 80% off. All right. Let's talk about this top 100.
Do we have to?
there has been a lot of conversation on it, and I don't want to gas us out on this thing, but it's worth touching on. We haven't touched on it.
Yeah, we got to touch it.
My we'll just get the tip.
At my foot, and I want to touch it. Hot USA reference for you.
Don't worry about the top 100. Why? It's stupid.
It's very stupid. It's pointless. It's not even real.
What do you mean? I heard something happened in Texas that showed just how real it was.
Back the first year that I covered the Texans professionally, which was 2017, one of the Houston TV stations went in and asked every single Texans player, most of them on camera, if they had ever voted in the top 100. Not a single one of them ever acknowledged ever even seeing a ballot. They didn't know when it was shown to them what it was.
There you go. I think that tells you everything you need to know about the top 100. If it bothers you, use it as fuel as a fan, right? Been rejected, fine. Use that to get your brain around.
So
we'll show them.
I guess we do have to mention the Lions did not have anybody on the top 100,
which means
not really a surprise.
But this is good. This is good. This is like galaxy brain thinking here, right? If you don't have someone in the top 100. You don't have a top 100 player opting out ever, no matter who goes.
Oh, look at you making lemonade out of lemons.
It could be that the Lions are the only team that doesn't have a top 100 player going out with the whole COVID thing. Think about the position we're in then.
Wow. Were the Lions the only team to not have a top 100 player?
I don't know if that's the case. I'm just going with it because it's just Lions things.
There's got to be some others because like Baltimore had like 8, Kansas City had like 7. There's just doing the math. There's not that many players on other teams. I can't imagine the Bengals had one. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, no,
Jacksonville.
I'm unaware. I am.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unaware.
We'll have to do some crack research on that. We'll get our finest troop working on that.
We'll get Case on the crack and we'll do the research.
There you go.
All right. Let's so yeah, don't worry about it. The top 100 thing is it's dumb, it's not real, it's silly.
It's a chance for the NFL Network to produce some original content in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Is all it is.
Yep. Not that they're the only ones guilty of that, but
No, God no. I'm feeling a little sheepish about that right now. So the Touchdown Wire, my brother's site from Lions Wire USA Today came out with their own top 101 players.
Well, but at least you wind up with something you can do every year.
They peel back the veil a little bit and they tell you exactly who voted on it. I am not one of the voters. It was a panel of 5 people who did it. The most notable being Doug Farrar of Touchdown Wire, but also Mark Schofield, who's a good personal friend, was involved in that as well. There are a lot of those types of lists out there right now. Make sure you find out if they announce who's voting for it and who's selecting it and who doesn't. If they don't put their name on it, you can pretty much ignore it and flush it. If they do put their name on it, you should probably pay a little bit of attention to it.
Yep. And that's really the art of the media space this time of year, right?
Yes.
It's all about how can I create content, not just right now in the off season when there is no content, but like my go-to every year stuff. Right, filler, fluff, whatever. The NFL Top 100, right? You can talk about funny names. You can do all kinds of stuff that you can just regurgitate out and hopefully generate conversation. So there you go. That's the tricks of the trade, folks. Tricks of the trade. All right. Let's see. There is another topic, and there's been some conversation about this. This has been something that's been bubbling up a little bit. It's about why isn't Bob Quinn spending all that money? He's got all this money to spend in free agency. He's sitting there right now. We've got all these needs.
I'm having horrible flashbacks to the Facebook comment sections.
Are we?
And even some in the subreddit, too.
So the question
what the hell is he doing? We got all this money. Why is he not spending it? The Fords are cheap. Sell the team.
Is this a Bob Quinn and a Fords thing, or are some fans just compulsive shoppers? What's going on here, Riz?
There's a lot of fans of a lot of teams that are wondering why their teams aren't spending. The Lions are certainly foremost in it. The Lions have not signed anybody from outside the organization that was like that since Darryl Roberts. That was April 7th, I believe it was the last time they signed somebody from outside the building.
Wow.
That is, in fact, the longest drought in the NFL because I, believe it or not, I did actually dig through the NFL transactions wire. They have the longest one, but they're not the only team that is not signing people. And there's a couple of reasons for it. And Bob Quinn actually gave a good explanation for his end of it. Whether you buy it or not, what he said was valid, and that is they cannot have guys come in for workouts right now. They can't physically watch them. They cannot have their own team doctors look at them. They have to do it off-site. So if you've got a guy, let's say Larry Warford's out there. I'm sure a lot of Lions fans would love to have Larry Warford back.
Or Daddy. Yeah.
Me included.
Yeah.
And the reason why he's gone is gone.
We should have traded him for Ron Prince.
Yes. Oh God, that would have been nice.
He would have loved it.
Okay. Larry has had some health problems lately. The Lions team doctors would need to clear him. They physically cannot do that right now. So even if they agreed to terms, they can't get the physical done yet. There's logistical impossibilities caused by the COVID, and that was something that that Quinn brought up in his Zoom session with the media yesterday. And it's valid. It's legit. There are other reasons. Some of them are on the player end. Players themselves are waiting. They don't want to sign right now because the market is only going to go up as more and more people opt out, as more and more players test positive or get hurt. The demand will be higher. What does that mean? Basic economics. If the demand is higher and the supply is low, and when you have the supply, you can charge more for it.
Right.
The agents know that very, very well. They are playing that game. You are not going to see many people sign. Kelechi Osemele is a good example. When Laurent Duvernay-Tardif opted out, the Chiefs starting right guard, he was one of the best guards on the market. He preempted that because he's like, oh, they need a guard. Agent, get me there. That's what happened. That's going to happen when other prominent players opt out or get, test positive or get hurt. One of the things that's going to happen, because some of these guys, like you alluded to, Chris, are not going to be in as great a shape as they have been.
Watch those physicals, folks. Watch those physicals.
They're going to get hurt early, too. I forget who did it, but somebody did the research back in 2011 when they had the lockout and the training camp was abbreviated. And the rate for soft tissue injuries that you're specifically ACLs and Achilles went way the hell up. That's probably going to happen again.
Well, I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna jump the gun on this. I'm gonna say, watch for this in the Lions Wire coming up. Really, I think getting a baseline really quick of injuries in Lions training camp for the last 3 years, right? While we've had this regime, I guess, and then the guys that didn't pass physicals that had to do laps around the field while everybody was working out, right? To get those numbers and find out what the normal count is and compare them how they come in this year, because I think the injury number it sounds a little morbid to watch, but I think both of those numbers are going to be affected by COVID. I know these guys are professionals, but they're also human beings, right? And they're kids. Right. Realistically, if I think about when I was their age. You can say I was an adult. I was, legally an adult, but I made decisions. I still make decisions like I'm a 12-year-old sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just life. Things happen, right? You're human beings. You have urges. You have whatever else. It's the way things go. These guys. I worry that the off season kind of layoff and the ability not having the ability to go anywhere. You can, Lacey was a pretty good athlete for a long time. We'll go back to him, Eddie Lacy, in the lunchbox.
He was.
And
he absolutely was.
He just found a groove where he loved his China food, right? Remember? That was his whole, hey, I got to give me some China. What is it? It was like 15 tweets that they pulled all talking about China food. And the guy just completely blew out, right? I'm not going to say a lot of people do it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen to players who get comfortable, or maybe your body has a lot of caloric demands when you're working out, and if you can't work out like you did before, and you can't get all that cardio in, you're still hungry. You're just putting those calories somewhere else that it isn't directly into muscle mass, right?
That's happening to all of us who are locked out from our gyms and who can't exercise as much as we want to because of the weather outside or whatever. You don't have the proper equipment.
Yep.
If you're a weekend warrior, take it easy. You're not. Don't just go outside and I'm going to run a 5K today. No, that ain't going to happen.
No,
don't put that extra weight plate on your bar, man. It ain't worth it.
It's good. It's really good because we're talking about it in the scheme of the Lions and these athletes, right? Weekend warriors are not athletes, so take care of yourself, people. Don't hurt yourself. I think steady wins the race here.
Ramp up slowly, and the players have to do that too. And you're going to see guys who try to do too much too soon, and that they will get hurt. And that's it is something you hate to throw that out there, and you don't want to be maudlin about it or anything. But there are going to be Detroit Lions who get hurt in training camp because they are not. They didn't do enough work in the off season. It's going to happen with every team.
Yep.
You just hope that it's not somebody that's too critically important. You hope that it's not too critically serious.
Right.
That's all you can do.
Blue and silver does remind me. I knew this, but it wasn't super sticky in my brain. Larry Warford actually opted out this year. That came out today.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Yes. I didn't know that.
So okay. It would have been a bad trade for Prince. We would have at least got something. Hope. Oh man. Okay, so that's that. Really quick, want to tell you about Fanatics. You get in your Lions gear. It doesn't matter if you're on your couch, you're at the stadium, you're rolling around town. Get your Lions gear, show off your support for the team no matter where you are. Head on over to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com. It'll take you right to the official Fanatics store, and it'll help you get all the great licensed, official, high-quality merchandise. Lions, it's got your Spartans, your Wolverines, your Red Wings, your Tigers. I can't wait to start not watching baseball now that it's back. All the important teams, all of the ones.
Basketball starts tonight, man. Get your.
There you go.
I'd say watch the Pistons and get your jersey, but
yeah. There's a lot of
get your Zion Williamson Pelicans jersey.
It'll be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. I like the format. It's gonna be cool.
I can't wait.
Yep.
My house, as you know, we are a basketball family. We are pumped. Basketball is back.
ESPN just revealed the big NBA problem with China. I don't necessarily want to talk about it this time, but next time we can. That doesn't look good. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of good stuff available. You want to support your teams, your favorite players? Head on over to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com, and they'll give us a kickback. It tells them by going there, you go right to the site. There's no funny business in between, but it just sets a cookie and lets them know that we sent you there, and they give us a piece of the profit. They don't get to hold on to it all. Those greedy bums. They share it with your favorite podcast and help us help you, right? All right. Same thing for Amazon. I'll just hit that now so we don't have to do any more of these. Amazon.detroitlionspodcast.com works the same way. They give us a kickback on anything you buy. It doesn't cost you anything more. It just keeps it out of bald-headed Bezos's hands. It shares with us. So if you want to do that, Amazon.detroitlionspodcast.com. Thank you, everybody who does do that. All right. One more thing we want to talk about. And it's a quick trip around the division. I don't have the drop ready because I'm building a big old 3D rendered thing that I've got going on. I think it's going to be pretty fun.
That's okay.
I'm going to give away the punchline here because when you see it, it'll still be super impactful. It's going to end with Aaron Rodgers getting destroyed with a big FTP stamp hitting it. So be ready for that. This one's going to be a fun one, folks. All right. So we're going to go around the division with Riz. And I think there was really just one team you want to touch on. You can, if you got more, you can, but I know you want to talk about Minnesota.
So there's a couple things from a Bears perspective. We'll touch on them really quick. Eddie Goldman opted out. That's a loss for them. He is a starting nose tackle for them and a good one.
Yep.
He's a good player. They're going to miss him.
That's a big game for the Lions.
Yeah. Also, the CFL cornerback that they signed from a couple years ago, Trey Roberson, was a guy who was expected to crack their top four. He is out for the year. He broke his foot. So that's the Bears. They got a lot of issues going on. But the big one, Minnesota's biggest free agent signing this offseason, opted out. That's a big deal for them. Michael Pierce was going to be their replacement nose tackle. He was going to play a lot for them. He ain't going to play now. That's a big loss for them. Remember, Everson Griffin's still not back. there are a lot of whispers around the backside of the league that he will be back very shortly with Minnesota, but he isn't there yet. He's only getting more leverage, which will put them into further cap hell, which I guess is a good thing for the fans. The other thing, Justin Jefferson, their top pick, the guy who's going to replace Stephon Diggs, is on their COVID reserve list. So they've taken some hits, and that's going to, rookie adjustment. They're relying a lot on him to come in and be great right away. He's not going to be working with Kirk Cousins. He's, all the rookies this year. It's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year for teams that are reliant on rookies.
Yeah,
and that includes the Lions with Jeff Okudah. We've all seen that cornerbacks have a tougher time translating than some other positions, anyways. Well, now one of the guys that he's marked up against is also going to have a longer road because he can't practice.
Yeah, speaking of Jeff Okudah, get your number 1 jersey while you can, because that's not going to be around. It's going to be a limited edition.
It will be changing very, very, very soon.
Shortly.
When the equipment gets delivered, that's Sunday, right? They can pick up the new jerseys.
Yep. So you get your number 1 jersey, and you can then cheer. He's your number 1 player because you got his jersey, and no one else is going to be able to get that Okudah number 1 later. So there you go.
Oh, can I have a quick thing on Okudah?
I do want you to.
I talked to somebody. When was that? Tuesday. Who had scouted him for another team, and they said that he was the highest graded cornerback they've had since Darrelle Revis on their board.
Oh my God! It is Sir Mix-a-Lot booty thick.
That is booty thick. Sorry, I didn't mean to blow your ears out, folks.
That was that came from a little cross-pollination thing that I did with another team, and it's actually not a team that you would normally associate with me with either. So it's. That was good to hear that they
the Washington football team.
What's that?
The Washington football team?
No, God, that was so awkward.
No, I meant the one over in the town of Seattle. The Huskies. No. Oh wait, who are we talking about?
I had to do the stupid review of the Reds.
Oh man, Riz,
hit the beat for me.
Give me 10 push-ups.
The football team. Writing and typing football team with the F and the T capitalized is really freaking awkward. It's going to take some getting used
to. Yeah, I so to be entirely fair, and my family still makes fun of me for it. I had the San Diego Chargers in the what's it called, in the draft this year on the scroll on the bottom. I had them listed as the San Diego Chargers. Yeah, I was just like,
I do remember that.
I'm like, what the? I'm so stupid. I know this. How did I not know this when I knew it? So there you go. All right, so we're rocking. That's I think that's what we got for a show this week. Things are happening this weekend. Like I said, Saturday and Sunday is the big days. That's when those physicals are happening. And folks, I am telling you, there's going to be people that you don't expect to miss physicals, and strength and conditioning for them and risk of injury are going to be a big thing. This is the first real important news that we're going to get, and I would not underweigh what we hear here in what you're hearing about the teams and the team and their readiness, and then strength and conditioning on Monday. We start. This is football. We're finally football.
We're getting there.
It's different. It's handled differently. It seems to be handled really smart. This team is doing a good job on top of the NFL's approach. They've put a very thoughtful plan together. I just, seeing all this, I feel good about our chances with football this year with this team having a meaningful season. I really feel that way.
That. There are days where it's tough to ignore the bad news when you see like what happened with the Miami Marlins and you see what's happening with college football. Certain teams, I know. I think it was Colorado State just before we went on the air decided that they can't do anything for 2 more weeks because so many of their players have tested positive or quarantined with somebody who's positive. It's tough to filter through that bad news, but so far, those of us who are employed covering it have seen zero indication from anywhere within the league that there will not be a start on time, and that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, and it's off, and we're off, and there's football. It's hard because
it's going to be a different year, man, and you just have to accept that right off the bat that not everything's going to look the same. Your 53-man roster predictions and all that jazz is going to look largely irrelevant this year. I say that as somebody who has to rate these weekly, but just things are going to happen. There are going to be so many more variables this year.
Yep.
my suggestion would be just ride it out. Just enjoy the waves, man.
To steal a phrase that I learned from a couple of vets that I know and talk to, and I originally kind of was familiar with this term from a movie called Restrepo, which is a great movie about Afghanistan. It's moving. It is a moving movie, but embrace the suck. Things are going to be different, right? You definitely don't have it as bad as those boys did, but in this case, as things, they're moving your cheese, they're changing things around, football's changing, the approach is changing, the access is changing. We can't change that, and some of those things are going to suck, but just embrace it. Embrace it. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Just roll.
It's better than not having it at all.
That's right. That's right. So
we know how that goes lately. It's been a brutal summer. Just from a quick personal standpoint, my son is playing high school football. Hopefully the season starts on time. Here in Michigan, we seem to be progressing towards that. Although the local D3 league just canceled football for the fall, but it's so real now that he's actually out there practicing and everything. One of the things, if you saw me earlier in the video, I was looking up that way. If you're still watching, he got his football helmet last night, and I hadn't seen it yet. He just brought it down, so it's pretty sweet to see that. So it's getting real. Yeah. We're getting close, man. We are getting closer and closer. We are inching back to some semblance of life as we used to know it. Cling to those crumbs, man, and hopefully they keep coming.
Yeah. I'll tell you, just because we're bragging, my boy just knocked out 11 college credits through AP classes last year. I'm just so stoked. He's killed it. Killed it.
Wow.
So he's looking at probably having a year's worth done when he gets out of high school. A year's worth of college done. He's incredible kid.
Wouldn't that have been nice?
Oh. I probably would need a couple other things before I got to that point, but we can talk about that some other time. All right, with that, we're going to call it a show. Guys, this is where everything starts. This is where the rubber meets the road. We will have a show next week. Case is still working with his work schedule. We got him finally last week, gave Riz a break from the grind of having to deal with me, and I appreciate all his love and help. We're looking to see how it plays out next week, but we're going to have real football stuff. Again, watch those physicals. That's going to give you the idea of where things are and where things are going to go with this team. All right. With that, we'll call it a week. Thank you for listening. Use the comments and subreddit to give us your feedback. Please do that. And then on the aggregators, iTunes, all that, give us those 5 stars because those are forever. They don't get undone. So we love it when you do that. Don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. As little as $1 a month, you can be in the Slack, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. It's absolutely awesome. It is a great place to be. And as you saw at the beginning of the show on the YouTube, you get your names in lights if you join the 20 Plus Club. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast, Instagram, Detroit Lions Podcast, and on the Twitter box at DET Lions Podcast. Follow us at DET Lions Podcast. It's the very best place to see the Riz.
With no pants.
Dang straight. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667. And be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com and subscribe to the podcast so we can get that ear lube into your little box automatically. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, and no problems, baby. Because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.